How you doing, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, actually. I don't think I'm having quite as busy a week as you, though.
Yeah, pretty busy week. Also didn't help me getting absolutely twatted last night. Uh, it's-
Anything to celebrate?
uh, no, I was just playing. I was playing at this charity thing, and my girlfriend came, and we got dressed up and drank lots of cocktails. And I can't. When I was in my early 20s, I could drink like endlessly and work all day the next day and fucking do a 2 hour set and drink all night and get up and I mean it's just I don't need to tell anyone this, but everyone already knows, but I can't do it anymore. Can't do it anymore. It's just like
You're,
I find that hangover is too brutal.
you're only 30, mate. Come on. But
I
you've
know.
had a busy 10 years, so maybe it's taken its toll a little bit.
I'm a 60-year-old in a 30-year-old's body, I think. I feel like it. Feel like it's day anyway.
Excellent. Well, I think you're allowed to have a night out and celebrate at the moment. Things seem to be going very well. And like one of the things I wanted to ask you was in the past, you've said that you seem unable to sustain a relationship for more than 6 months.
Right.
And you just mentioned your girlfriend. And I think in 2021, the cycle's been broken, right?
Yes, yeah. Me and my girlfriend been together for a year and a half, and I love her. We're getting married, so yeah.
Yes, I heard you were getting married. So congratulations on
Uh,
that.
over the moon, yeah. Over the
Yeah.
moon.
So I'm happy to find you maybe in a better place in life. But having said that, we have this album that's just come out called Monsters, which touches on a lot of things when things weren't quite so good. You talk about panic attacks and anxiety, and you even said that when you were writing it, you felt a little bit lonely at times when you were writing it. So that was only like a couple of years ago when you started on this album. How
Yeah.
does Tom Odell 2021 compared to Tom Odell who started writing this album?
Well, today hungover, but the I'm in a lot better place. I I I'm in a lot better place than when I made the album. When I was writing the album, I was really letting my struggle with chronic anxiety and constant panic attacks. It was big. It was getting the better of me, and it was a. It was, I think, but for a lot of people, that lead up to the pandemic felt very tense. Um, it felt it felt very it's difficult to remember. I always find when something monumental happens, it's difficult to remember the months before it. But the world was it felt like an elastic band being pulled tighter and wider and wider and wider. And then the pandemic happened, and we've just had the most monumental. I think they call it an epoch. Uh, defining moment of our generation. I think equally the sort of pandemic and BLM happening as well in the summer last year. And I wrote the album and recorded it all during this time, and it's no wonder it's not a particularly sort of, I'd say, joyful record. It reflects how I've been feeling, and but it's not all depressing. It's quite chaotic, I'd say. But I really wanted to make an album that reflects how I feel, because that's my duty as an artist is to do that. And so it feels great to do that as well as an artist. And I feel like this record is really I've learned so much from making it. Learned so much from making it, about myself, about the world, about music, but I've learned what I also want to be. I've learned what I want to be in this world.
Okay, that's interesting. When you released Jubilee Road, you said at the time that album really represented you the most so far in your career at that point. This album's quite different from that, and you've kind of experimented a little bit. Some of the subjects that you talk about on this album are things that you maybe wouldn't have had on other records. And there's a line on this record that says, "I tell my secrets to stay employed." Does it feel cathartic? Is songwriting a cathartic way for you to get things out that you wouldn't say in, face to face with people?
I think a huge amount. Yeah. I think every songwriter is, well, from the ones I've met, it's easier to say. I find it easier to be safe, my darker secrets in songs than I would to somebody's face. Although that has changed a lot for me. I am much more honest now, and I realized that I needed to be in part of my road to trying to get better was trying not to perform for people in real life, off the stage. It's this right. Performance, which I think a lot of people in my line of work do. The performance is the only way we know how to communicate is through performance, and it's why we do very well on stage, but not so well off.
So having said that, you're kind of 10 years into your career. What do you think is the most important thing for you career-wise in 2021? To keep being as true an artist as I can, and to pursue the truth, and to try and make art that is transcends the noise of today, and truly says something of depth, but also of value. Ultimately, to create something of value, I think, quality, and to challenge myself in doing that. And the thing about this record is that, if I'm being really honest with you, I'm sure in a few years' time I'll listen back to it and there'll be elements to it I won't like. I don't know, but that's not. It's like, stop creating. I got to stop chasing this. I used to bang on in interviews when I was young about making music that is timeless. I was always obsessed with this thing of just like having music that's timeless, and I sort of stopped that in a way, and actually found it quite liberating. Stop trying to create things that appeal to not just like your own generation, but like the future. I don't know. It's like this absurd idea I got in my head about. I now feel the opposite. I want my music to totally represent a period of time. Maybe it's just my own perception of it. Yeah. And on this record, there's a few more like electronic elements, and it does feel like there's been a shift in your sound. Can you remember a point where you kind of made that decision that you wanted to start introducing different kinds of things into the music?
No, it was very gradual, and it was a long period of discovery. I wrote the songs actually I didn't have any of those sounds in my mind when I was writing. 95% of the songs were written before I recorded them in some old-fashioned way. It's like, yeah, write the songs and then record them later, which is how I prefer to work. Whereas a lot of modern pop music is not made like that. It's made, they record and write at the same time, which is probably more time efficient. But if my thought has always been, if the song is good enough, then it will work, and work just humming it to someone. If it's good enough, yeah, it should work in all formats. And but what was the question? The electronics was well, in a way there's not. I mean, it's funny. It's got a different structure of how the sounds are together. There's a Moog, there's a 70s Moog synthesizer, which is just up here in my studio. But it's there's that, and then there's an MPC drum machine, and then there's piano. and or an acoustic guitar. And in a way, it's actually, I'd say there's less actual instrumentation on this record than any record I've made. In a way, it's the most, I'd say it's the most stripped back record I've made, because but the way we produce the tracks and the way they've been mixed is that the bottom end's maybe a bit heavier, and the vocal is so present. It's always like, almost like you're being spoken to, you know, someone right next to you. And I was interested in the way like a lot of modern pop music is doing that, and has done, I guess, like, you know, through like Billie Eilish, just like, I guess, a big sort of, but also Drake, like the way Ovo, that guy, made those records is like, it's just, you know, 60% Drake's vocal, and then everything else is just superfluous to like. And it's very interesting, like pop music really become that. It's just because a lot of people listen on their phones, you know, there's only really room for one thing to kind of cut through, and so like it's all about the vocal. But that's really interesting because it changes the composition of the top line. So because it's just vocal coming through on a Drake track and drums, like I'm saying predominantly, like it means that the vocals got to be even more, it's just got to give you even more. So it's sort of like there's no space in it, like there is an Oasis song, you know, like you know, you get some, just a guy just like strumming for like 10 seconds, like 8 bars of strumming. It's like you never hear that in modern music anymore, not just pop music, but any music on the streaming. It's just like, or Kid Laroi, it's just like all vocal the whole time. And I was fascinated by that because it was just tearing up my own rule book of songwriting and recording. Because I grew up in playing open mics, and I grew up singing those Oasis songs and you know, 70s songs and in bars, and they have the guys that are at the front, the guys and girls that are at the front of contemporary music today have completely thrown out song structure from the old times. I mean, there's just none of it there. It's liberating for someone like me, because I come from that world, you know, the 70s world in a big way, you know, because I grew up listening to that music.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And when you look back, like you obviously came out of the gate with a massive song, which like you're almost the classic example of how that happened. And I look this week, and Another Love has 308 million views on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
That's nearly the entire population of the United States. That's right. That's a lot of people when you think about it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that song in 2021?
Well, it's just remarkable. It's still going. It's like it's the gift that keeps on giving. It's I mean, obviously I feel good about it. You know, it pays the bills, mate. It you know, it allows me to keep doing this job. It allows me to make art that I want to make. I'm totally grateful for it, and it you know, I've got to a point in my career where I'm not really massively interested in having like commercial. I've never really been interested in being like the biggest artist in the world. You know, like I'm interested in the art, and I'm interested in what gets me excited is when I hear a song and someone's doing something new or good, really good, you know. One thing I can say from experience is that I'm beginning to notice is that time rewards quality, like in a big way. If you know, my advice to young musicians is just don't chase the now, chase the quality, because you might not immediately get rewarded for it, but over time, like those are the artists that tend to have careers, you know, and they're still around, and their songs are still streaming. And I've been so fortunate in the sense that my, you know, a new generation of people are coming to my music, and it when I put my first album out, you know, I didn't even know Spotify was a thing. It was like, like, you know, and it seems to work on those platforms. So I'm very grateful for that, and I'm very grateful that people connect with my older songs as well, because it's just good, isn't it?
Yeah. So I want to ask you about albums specifically.
Yes.
If somebody had never heard Tom Odell, which song or album would you want them to go and listen to first?
Well, I don't know about album. I don't know. I'd say, I don't know. I mean, I'd say there's certain songs I've got. I feel like I hit. You're just throwing darts against the board, and you try and get as close to the bullseyes every time, and quite often you're lucky if you get in that ring outside the bullseye, but sometimes you miss completely and it hits the wall and it just drops down, and then obviously you can't beat yourself up too much about it. But I don't know, there's a few songs I'm proud of. Like on the second album, there's a song called Somehow, which I don't know how many people know that song. It's kind of at the end of that album, I think. But I'm really proud of that song, and I think on this album, Monsters, like I'm really proud of the song Money, because like I felt like, I don't know. I mean, like I'm really proud of the writing on this album. There's also a song called Streets of Heaven on this album, Monsters, which I feel like is one of my best songs I've ever written. I think it, as a songwriter, I think it, like, music and lyrically is really good. But but that's my taste, and like sometimes the song I think people are going to connect to the most, like no one really gets it, and there's sort of like that's the great thing about music, and sometimes you make songs and they don't you think it's crap, and people seem to like it, and you're like, I think it's dreadful.
What about other artists? I want to ask you about, what's an album, like a classic album, that you think everybody needs to hear at some point during their life?
Oh wow. Well, I've been Joni Mitchell's Blue, it's just had the 50th anniversary, and I listened to it quite a lot because I read this interview of her, or I don't know if it was an interview, it was a piece about Blue in the paper, and I listened to it from start to finish, and I was honestly like moved to tears. I was like, so fucking good. It's like that period, in the 70s when she's making records, in the early 80s, like it's just like she's just in touch with something beyond, like
oh no, it's an absolute classic. I think that would be on a lot of people's lists. So what about contemporary albums? What's a recent album that you got excited about that maybe people would have missed?
Oh Lord, that's a difficult one. To be honest, I've not listened to that many people's albums anymore. I tend to listen.
You're a playlist guy.
Yeah, I've sort of become a playlist guy. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Maybe I should go on my Spotify and see who comes up. I mean, I'm not sure about albums, but I really like this kid called Kamal, who's Kamal,
right?
Who I think is really good. I don't think he's put an album out yet, but I thought that he was really impressive.
Is there anybody that you've heard that you want to take on tour with you?
It's always a bit awkward, that, isn't it? Because I'm always a bit like, I don't want anyone ever to think that like I think they're small enough to go on tour, tour with me. Do you know what I mean? It's like, would you like to go on tour with me? It's like, I don't know. They probably sell just as many tickets as me. So I don't know how you gauge that. But yeah, just someone just starting out. There's a girl actually that I've been working with a bit, who's literally, I haven't looked, but I don't know if there's any music of hers online yet, but she's just starting out, and for a friend of a friend, got talking to her, and we've been working together a bit, and she's phenomenal. She's called Rosie Shaw, It's like, I think she's going to do some big things. She's really, really good singer and wonderful songwriter. And I tell you, actually, someone that I would like to play shows with, but also I think is really, really good, is Benjamin Francis Leftwich. Yeah, and he's become a friend of mine. Well, we've been friends for years. We've known each other for years, and he's also become a friend, and we've done some work together. And he's an inspiring guy. I think he is one of the great lyricists of today, and is gonna. I think he's going to be an important songwriter in the next 20 years, and it has been already. I think I don't know, I've just been very impressed. Working with him, I was really blown away. And cool. as a writer, yeah.
I know that tickets went on sale this week for your Montreal show next year.
Yeah.
So we will look forward to that. And thanks very much for spending some time with me today. And we look forward to seeing you when you do make it over this side of the pond. But yeah, last time you were in Montreal, which was only a couple of years ago, we were there reviewing the show that's on the site. So
that was a good show. That I hope you reviewed it well.
We did. I actually read it before this interview, and it was a really, really good review. You had one of the guys from Half Moon Run come on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Connor.
Yeah.
I love Connor. He's great. He actually played harmonica on my second record. I
didn't know that.
Yeah, on a song called Sparrow. And he is that band. I fucking love Half Moon Run. They're one of my favorite bands, and they have been for years. And another thing I'd say just before we go is Montreal is, honestly, I'm not just saying this, one of my favorite cities in the world. I absolutely adore it there. And the band and I, whenever on tour in North America, we always look forward to the Montreal show over everything else. And that theatre we've played at, is it the Corona Theatre?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I changed the name.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. It's just such an amazing theatre. So I cannot wait. I think, I haven't looked, is that where the show is?
It's actually not. It's at a different place called L'Astral, which is also a really beautiful venue.
Oh, great. Awesome. Yeah, awesome. All right, great. Nice chatting to you, mate.
Yeah, you too. And I look forward to seeing you when you get over here.
Yeah. All right. Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.